as the mood strikes. Speaking of striking,
You hope these are good. You sent them. You tell us.
I have Clock Striker. Yep. So, what do we got? We got essentially now the full disclosure. This is an OEL. I think
They're
we've
both
done
OELs.
I was gonna say I think
I'm trying to. I'm gonna see if I can finish mine while you're doing your review because I haven't quite got to the end yet.
okay. This
Looks
comes
like it's
from
important too. So.
yeah. So this comes from Saturday AM or not? I mean, it's the printer is Rockport, but then Saturday. That's the thing about some of these is there's so many logos everywhere that you start to be like, who's did this, right? And it's probably a conglomeration, right? Like there's a printer, there's a publisher, there's an IP holder, and everyone's kind of has moving parts, The problem I think with that is more just if I as a reader am used to buying, like I look at Kodansha titles, right? I know I can go to this publisher, and if they have like a funky deal going on, they all come together under one. Yeah. Again, not a big deal.
About?
I'm talking about the fact it's kind of confusing who's overall in charge, right? Like you have multiple. See those two logos, and then Saturday AM is the thing, the publisher, right? I think.
Okay, so who's Rockport?
I don't know. That's my
footprint.
Right, they're on the spine, and I'm just saying.
Wait. Okay, so who's the Rockfoot? Right
Rockport.
foot? What? No. I mean
The foot is the Saturday AM's logo. They're on the top of the spine.
Why is that their logo?
I don't know.
I'm so confused.
They like Nickelodeon? I know Nickelodeon used that as a logo for a while, but that was with what's his face. Yeah, Bear's like, what? He finds Rockport shoes. And again, this is not a major criticism. This does not affect my view of the manga or the OEL. However, I'm just saying is from a perspective of if you're a potential buyer, right?
Did you mention that?
No, I'm not gonna.
Why not?
Doesn't fucking matter.
It's different though.
What?
The fact that they give you the flags from the people, the
nationalities?
artist, and that, so you know where they're from. That's I would say more from a. I see that on scan sites more often.
Well, I was gonna say you can.
Which actually kind of makes sense because a lot of people who would make OELs would spend time on scan sites.
Maybe. I wasn't too focused on that particular part. Mostly just the publication. So
I just find it interesting.
There's
and
a lot of
noting.
But oddball, there's a lot of chapters in this for some reason.
Wait. You have 14?
14.
Hold on. Let me go to my chapter page.
I was going to say. I'm used to, again, and I'm curious
I have
as
8.
to. You have 8. That's
more
more like
a special article.
I was going to say, it's more like a standard manga. It's like anywhere from, typically like 7 to 4, depending on how long they like to do. Yeah, Bear, definitely. I'll talk about that. We'll get into it. I don't want to delay, but when doing an OEL, I like to kind of take stock and just get a feel for how does this stack up to my experience with manga, right? That's inevitable, especially if you've read a lot of manga. I think you just, when you get to an English thing, you just kind of go, okay. And this helps me set the expectation mentally so that I'm not taking away points for things that don't matter, don't impact it, just taking in some of the style things, right? Hence the there's more chapters than I'm used to. Fine. I'm just curious as to the thought process and the reason I say that without getting into it too far is I don't feel the division of chapters means anything from the perspective of the storytelling.
Are they just chapters for the chapter's sake?
That's kind of what it feels like. Like, that's the thing is, like, a lot of what goes on, like, it could all be, like, one longer chapter or maybe 2. Like, if I was like, I need a stopping point, okay. That's just odd. But all right, so we open up. It's sort of a steampunk noir kind of thing going on. You can tell right here. There's, Victorian architecture-ish, and then there's random smokestacks and steam things going on, so that's how we know. We find out a little later, not too far into this, is that this is the world after some cataclysm. Technology stuff happened. Bad technology caused some sort of event, and there's not as much computers and things around now. But it is essentially our world in the future after this. Okay, so we have guys that are robbing a museum for ancient technology. And you can tell they're bad. They are drawn in a wonderfully over the top was it like a Lupin the Third villain? Let me see if I can find a good. Here we go.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's a couple of parts here I'll get to. There's definitely some inspiration from certain things, and I think that's.
I think he was hoping for a better response from me.
Yeah. When Wells, I was like, wow.
What the fuck do you want me to say?
No, I know. I'm just highlighting that as that. Yeah, I feel like this wears its inspiration on its sleeve, which I'm actually.
Would you call him
better.
a Dick Tracy villain?
No, not quite as cartoonish, but I think you look at it and you're like, yeah, I get the feeling that this is definitely an artist at the very least who has a passion for manga, and they're more than willing to pay nods and homage without being carbon copies. The thing that's kind of funny about this part is that they bring essentially the professor of the museum to open the door, and he can't, and then this guy with the eyeball here just blasts a laser and cuts open a hole in the door. And it's one of those moments where you're like, this is kind of a story problem that you see crop up, is that characters will be like, we want to open this door. Well, we'll just open it by doing, like, you didn't need him at all then. I don't follow why you bothered. But there we go. We meet our main characters, Cast and Lady Clock. She is kind of that, again, semi-Victorian dress. Cast is more kind of. It is vague future. So it's like the
Victorian. Interesting.
I'd say it kind of copies like the Lolita fashion from Japan.
That's what you're going for? I was going for where they try to do the well-dressed girl in a Western.
Oh,
she has kind of.
Yeah. She has the ruffles and things, but her arms are a little more exposed, like in Vash the Trigun. That's
the Stampede.
Yeah, that's just the anime and manga now. It's just Vash, whatever, or Vosh. So anyway, our girl Cast is hooked up to this machine, and this is some sort of robot carcass, and they're taking it apart and dismantling it. The gangsters are like, "Brr, we're mean, and we want that. We want that old technology." We find out that Lady Clock is part of the Smith. She's the Smiths, not the punk band. It's a group of people who go around and they basically Brotherhood of Steel. Right, they're hunting down and like saying, okay, this old technology needs to be put to rest and destroyed because that's what led to the bad thing. And you're like, okay. Cast, the girl, is the apprentice. She's a striker. I don't know exactly what that means. We get introduced to a weird power thing that doesn't show up later in this, which is, I'm not sure if it's good or they forgot about it or what. But she holds up a clock as like a pocket watch, and she's like, "What time is it?" And all of a sudden, Mr. Eyeball's eye explodes, his laser eye. So this is where we get introduced to some of the elements that actually do irk me. Is that so? Cast wants to be in a Smith program. She wants to work on the stuff, and she's super talented. And the teacher goes, "Well, I don't believe you can because you have a missing hand and you're a girl." And I'm like, that's really dumb. Because when he's explaining to her earlier on in this, a page ago, he's explaining that the school is in the poor district, they don't have money, and this is a home economics class. And it's not just girls. Like, she's actually like only one of I think 2 other girls you see in the background. Like, there's a bunch of boys. So it's like, oh, that actually makes a logical sense that, okay, the district doesn't bother investing in high tech because they're poor for whatever reason. Okay, that's fine. That's funny. No, instead we have the guy who's like, well, you're disabled and you're a girl. So no, I don't believe you can do anything. And I really hate when you have what is essentially a mustache twirling villain and you're like, he's going to be a bad guy, of course. Because it can't just be enough that he's apparently a sexist and or a bigot of some kind. He has to actually be actively evil.
Well, I mean,
luckily,
look at how many movies can the bad guy not just be bad; they have to also be rapey.
Immediately after the first chapter, where we set up, just the general pace of how things are going to go.
Hey, Java joined us.
We
didn't catch that. Welcome.
We then flash back to Cast, how she became a striker. As basically the apprentice to Madam Clock. And we start off, they're in a school. And at first, we play up this guy, Tucker, as if he's just apathetic. So, big surprise. It turns out that, our protagonist mom, by the way, she has vague manga sickness. I love that carries over into OEL. So, believe it or not, as fun, as much fun as I like to poke at it, I actually, that helped ground me again after that kind of annoying, like, you're a girl. And I'm like, And then it's like, mom's like, oh, I got some medicine. Thanks to your brother. And it's like, yes, the vague, I'm sick and I need medicine. I love it. By the way, the brother has been working with henchmen that work under the teacher to afford this because, they're poor. He gets the sister a recovered robot hand, which she converts into her prosthetic. You see prominently on the front. Mm-hmm. She's set it up so that she can insert little
real
pods.
Quick,
so we do get the setup of what she uses this hand for. It can take like variable pod things, so she can like there's like adhesive ones she's developed, all kind of Peter Parker, and then like electrical blast and so forth. I'm like, okay, that's fun. You got that. It's very proper shonen. By the way, let me see if I can find a good. There we go. Here's Miss Clock. By the way, I definitely got the. Speaking of Trigun, I definitely got the impression of like a Vosh character.
Okay,
just a little. Particularly when you find out she's basically a cyborg, if not a robot. We do find that out. Which I appreciate the way it's told in this. I'll get to that in a minute. Oh yes, here's the Doc Ock fight, if you will, with the teacher guy. Let me. Here's a good shot of him in the rig, because apparently the Poor Town was weapons manufacturing before the big event. I just call it the big event. Doesn't matter. So he's like, I've been recovering parts and people will pay a fortune. He's like, I'm getting out of this shithole town. And you're like, wow, that's interesting. And also for some reason he has Isaac from Dead Space's spine. Look on there.
Okay.
It's kind of neat. It also Doc Ock-ish. But yeah, he gets fairly handily defeated by Madam Clock overall. And then Cass joins her, and that's how she's with her. So... Then we get our actual first real story overall. This is like, we're about halfway through the first volume. We've set the stage. Things are now happening for realsies. Do you want to meet Cowboy Immortan Joe?
Yes.
And his gang of Cowboy Immortans?
I regret.
Yeah. We get a little backstory, thankfully, with him. I appreciate as a bad guy. He's very, very. He's actually much better, and I think it's because they drew him and like, oh, we got to keep him around. So he has a better look of his sort of Immortan Joe mask.
I
wanted to see where's the other thing I noticed. I bet you'll see the same thing. Let me back up. It's before this section. Here we go. This was when they found another random side mission. If you see what that looks like, just a touch. Kind of like one of the Eva.
Yeah. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
I gotta click. I know it from.
Yeah.
Kinda. Yeah.
A robot they take apart later. By the way, apparently the Smiths can 3D print essentially via light constructs. Don't worry about it. No, there's an interesting part during the fight with the head of the robotic bandits. We find out they are cyborgs. They were made before the big event, the big war thing. This is about 30 years ago. And she hacks his eyes because apparently she gets really cocky about like just, oh, you're a cyborg.
She hacks his eyes.
Yes. He
so
realizes.
Somebody's a fan of Gits, apparently.
It's not an uncommon thing to be reference of. But I like the part where he realizes this, and because he's like, she can't have moved that fast or disappeared. So he closes his eyes, and he can hear basically the servos in her body operating, and he can track her with that. He's like shooting it. She's like, holy shit, he's kind of formidable. And I'm like, I like this, a bad guy who's actually kind of formidable. And he escapes to fight another day later, by the way, which is, I get, considering the design they put into him and his compadres, I imagine they're like, yeah, we can't kill him off right away. He's like basically a robot cowboy, and he's got robot cowboys with him. But they talk about how basically they fought people like her, and he's like, he calls her next kin, and she gets all wide-eyed. Like, all right, yeah, Bear, you're accurate. This earns a crackers. It's very much in the vein of
that good.
Yeah, that's the thing is once you get moving and you get away from some of like the dumb things that really annoyed me. Again, I don't care for characters who are like, no one will let me do anything cool. Actually, I'm really smart. It's like, yeah, that's great. And then once she's just actually doing things, that's fine. Like, I don't care about her motivation. Oh, and by the way, she wants to become the Hokage. I mean, the leader of the Smiths one day. And I was just like, wow. But yeah, those parts don't detract too heavily. It's, yeah.